Hey everyone, it's the Grumpy Meeple, and I am back again with another look at Chronicles of Drunagor Age of Darkness Apocalypse, the Game Found campaign preview. Because Creative Game Studios has added quite a bit of detail here, and so I thought we'd take another look at it before the campaign launches, which is actually in just 18 days. So, coming up soon, very exciting. And again, make sure, if you want this free miniature, make sure you click the follow button here. Companies are really incentivizing this, and I think it's a really good idea, and I think it's really kind of low cost for the player. Creative Game Studios is doing this with Chronicles of Drunagor, and Wild Ascent, Leyvon Rising, the campaign for that by Lazy Squire Games is like giving away two like huge miniatures. Basically, one if you backed it or followed it prior to the start of the Game Found campaign, and one if you pledged the campaign within the first 72 hours. And so I just love this idea, and I'm that guy who, like, I've been looking at Storm Sunder and considering late pledging that, and they did a similar thing with Storm Sunder, and I did not follow it beforehand, and I didn't pledge it in the first 72 hours, and there's some big miniatures, and it's going to cost like $30 to kind of catch myself up to include those miniatures, and it kind of bums me out, and it's delaying my pulling the trigger on that pledge. So if you're interested in this, I suggest following it. I mean, if you're really, I don't know, if you really don't want to get kind of pinged about it or marketing, whatever, make a burner Game Found account, just so you can follow it and then pledge if you decide to. I don't know. It just seems like kind of very little price to pay for another giant, cool-looking miniature expansion. So, but anyways, getting into the new stuff here. This has pretty much all been on the campaign page for a while now. The Fallen Sisters mini boss is going to be $13 if you don't get that follow bonus. Just checking here to make sure there's nothing from yours truly in the in quotes here. Don't see anything. They go through and tell you that, about the reprint stuff. And so we're not really going to take a look at this. This stuff is all already in the core game, and we've looked at it previously. Scrolling down. Here we go. So, they have everything that is new to this campaign marked with this new content banner. And here we start getting into the specifics of exactly what comes in the box. So 16 new chapters of gameplay, which they say comes out to about 70 hours. This is awesome. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Games that go light on this stuff and heavy on the miniatures really bum me out. I think this is just as important as anything else to really add that story element to your campaign-based, story-based role-playing games. So I'm excited that it's coming with a significant amount of content there. They talk about the narrative. We've talked about all this before. Here we get into the exact details of what comes in the box, though. So you're getting 3 Dream Titans, which are these cool-looking, kind of Cthulhu-ish bad guys. And they have, they're multiple types, rookies, fighters spelled correctly, too. This was kind of like a funny quirk of the original game. On at least one of the cards, the word fighter is misspelled. And then veterans and champions. And what is that guy holding? A brain or a heart? What is that? I can't quite tell. Pretty gross looking, though. So Get your Dream Titan bad guys, 4 copies of the Chain Master bad guys. Cool looking miniature. You don't see people fighting enough with chains in games like this. Chains and scythes, man. That's what these CGS is all about, the scythes, and now they're getting into the chain action too. I love it. So you get 4 miniatures for that group. 4 copies of the Witch. Very cool looking sculpt. It's got some cool abilities here. Stun, stealth, and then see you've got the flip mechanic where you're actually the enemy has multiple like phases, so you activate them and then you flip the card over. I assume that's how it works. I still haven't gotten into the details on that, but looking very cool. Skeleton Knight, love it. This looks like a really cool sculpt for a Skeleton Knight. I love Skeleton Knight. Who doesn't love Skeleton Knights? It's just like a really cool, can't get too many. Can never have too many. If you're trying to recreate Army of Darkness or something like that. Anybody remember that Bruce Campbell movie? God, that movie was so awesome. You need your Skeleton Knights to be able to pull that off. So, very cool. And then you get 4 Larva Mages too. This is a really cool sculpt too. He has no face. I love that. Very interesting. They go into the monster AI. Again, you've got your side A and side B of the card, and each turn some monsters will behave differently, like this Shadow Cultist. So, you'll face him once, and instead of coming back around to him in the initiative order and facing the same monster again, he may have changed his behavior up. And it's just right there on the card. You just flip it over. It's a great idea, and I'm glad to see it implemented. You're getting new gear within 4 new camps. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, this is kind of cool. This grappling chains looks very similar to the weapon that this guy is using. Maybe you can kind of get a hold of the enemy's weapon there. And then there's another scythe. See, I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. Look at that. Reaper scythe right there. They love the scythes. And you get new adventure items. Okay, this might be a new item type. Maybe not. I still haven't gotten very deep into the original game. There's just a lot going on. I fully intend to get back to it. As a matter of fact, I may even film some stuff later today. Because that's always the worst when you start playing one of these campaign games. If you fall off of it and you let yourself kind of step away long enough, for me at least, and this isn't even specific to board games, this is video games too, but if I step away from one of these campaign-based games for more than a couple weeks, I just completely lose where I'm at, and I get totally kind of demotivated to continue, and I end up having to start over, which isn't the worst issue in the world I have. I'm only on the first mission of the campaign for Age of Darkness, and it would let me try some new character classes and such, but I'd rather continue on, so I really need to get that back to the table. But anyways, so I'm not 100% sure if these are like a new item class. I vaguely remember seeing something similar in the core box, so it may just be more of them. And then you're getting new skills with new path-based upgrades. Path of Devotion, Strength, Cunning, Mystics, Nature. Very cool. You are getting a bunch of new maps. Streamlined darkness rules. They still haven't gone into the specifics of how exactly it's streamlined. I do like, and I did ask them if this streamlining was based off of feedback from the community, and it sounds like it was, because they're saying here, you asked, we heard. I have a series of questions out to Creative Game Studios, and they are obviously heads down, prepping for this campaign. I think when you're kind of just like a casual observer, or even somebody like me who is, spends a fair bit of time thinking and reading about this stuff and whatnot, I think it's hard to understand just how much effort gets put into running and preparing for one of these campaigns. I mean, you hear this all the time from these these developers and publishers that it's just like a grueling endurance, race to slog through one of these campaigns and keep pushing out content and prepping graphics and everything. And you start to see companies like Lazy Squire with Levon Rising, where they're deliberately cutting down on the duration of their campaigns because it's so taxing. And so I've got these questions out. He'll answer them when he gets a chance, no rush. But one of the questions I asked was, kind of what are the Streamline Darkness rules, and how did you come to the conclusion that they needed to be streamlined? And it looks like that part at least is answered right here. Community feedback dictated the streamlining. You get more doors with more QR codes, I assume, so more kind of randomization of your maps. Here we get into something that's interesting and new to the series, because you're getting these 4 incredible boss fights with new mechanics in each battle. But they're coming as standees, not as miniatures in the box, the standard box for Apocalypse. This is interesting. This is another thing I asked about. I'm just kind of curious how and why they came to the decision to go with standees. I would assume that these are pretty huge miniatures, and it just wasn't kind of financially feasible to have them as miniatures in the main box. But I'll let you all know when I hear back on that. But they do call out that the miniatures will be available. They're just not in that core box. So hopefully more information on that coming soon. And then they talk about the kind of extras that you're going to be able to get. Then they go into the stretch goals. So box for visualization purposes only. So basically we're just calling out here, over the 21-day campaign, all backers will help us create a new campaign beginning with 4 new chapters, new cards, and 3 new monsters. All stretch goals unlocked will increase this new campaign in a lot of ways. Be part of the community and join us for this adventure. And you get this stretch goal campaign free with your pledge, basically. And so already they're showing us they've got a campaign book that has 4 new chapters, some new cards, and some new monster types. Very cool. If we continue down, they have started revealing some of the kind of add-ons that are going to be available. And one of them is this Age of Darkness Hero Pack, which looks really cool. You're getting 8 new classes and 4 new heroes. So, each class card is double-sided, basically. And so 2 miniatures are associated to each class card. Again, they're going out of their way to put in the kind of old version and the new version of the cards. I think this is really nice. In terms of what's unlocking here, looks like we're getting 2 necromancers. And, just because they're the same class, it doesn't mean that the character is identical. These do tend to play differently. You can see it even just in this graphic here. The abilities here are different. So they do play differently. So you're getting 2 necromancers, 2 shamans, orc shaman, very cool, very thrallish, love it, Garamond. Very, very cool. You're getting 2 sword mages, a Valkyrie sword mage with some impressive looking wings. Very, very cool looking. And then Azrael's a human sword mage. We don't know necessarily what that miniature is going to look like. And then you're getting 2 warlords, a dwarf and an Efreet warlord. Oh, cool. That's a cool miniature. She's blowing out her horn. She's got the Horn of Gondor there. Okay, very, very cool. And then new classes with class boards, upgrades, abilities. This is awesome. I'll definitely pick this up. It's one of those things that, man, it's like part of the, honestly, just part of the value of it is just like having it and having the options. There's virtually no chance that I'll ever be able to actually play with all these characters, but just knowing that, yeah, man, I could be a sword mage in my next campaign, it like just drives me to want to own this stuff. So pretty excited about that. And that's it for now for add-ons. And then if we scroll down, we've got visuals of some of the horsemen. I don't think they're all here yet, but we can see here. So, going back to this idea of, why aren't these in the box? These are huge. 164 millimeter, that's a big miniature. So, kind of, seems like it's just 4 of these. They really wanted to go with the apocalypse theme, and everybody knows that there are 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and so they were kind of probably, a little bit stuck in terms of, well, we need 4 horsemen. They need to be huge to be intimidating and to kind of meet the expectations. But putting 4 huge miniatures into this already huge box probably would have driven the cost up by $30-$40. So they're offering them separately. I don't kind of hold that against them. I'll pick them up for sure, because I don't really like standees all that much, and while I appreciate the option, there'll probably be a pledge that includes these anyways, and I'll just go for that. But you've got the Plague Horseman, which is like a really, really awesome looking miniature. With all these bodies that are like, I don't even know what's going on here. They're like buried in the sand or something, and he's just standing on top of them, and he's got bodies wrapped up in his disgusting kind of pustule covered tail and skulls hanging off of him and looking awesome. Here we've got Famine. We've seen him before. 140 millimeter, again, huge. Again, these incredible bases with what are functionally like extra miniatures on them. Really cool looking. And then we've got War, 100 millimeter. Looks like some kind of crazy, what is that creature called? Is it like a chimera? It's got a scorpion's tail, a lion's head, the rider on it, getting ready to just wreck. Skulls and swords sticking out of the base. Very cool. And then, still to come, Death. We don't get to see him yet, but it's coming. And the campaign is coming too, just 18 days, and this thing will be live. So keep an eye out for it. I'll be covering it on the channel for sure. I'll do a video on basically the first day where I walk through exactly what's in the pledge and what my thoughts are on it and whatnot. And then my plan is to probably do a video as the campaign is wrapping up as well. I think this is going to be like my new cadence for these types of videos, which is something I totally made up on my own and not something that all other board game channels do at all. Just kidding. So, yeah, this is looking awesome. No complaints. Can't wait. Looking forward to getting more of this stuff. It's like the golden age for these types of games right now. Oh, man, Valor and Villainy, the solo cooperative kind of campaign for that. Levon Rising, Chronicles of Drunagor. And this is coming off of, a couple years where these types of games have just exploded in popularity. And there are just so many to choose from, and it's one of those things where I keep waiting for the bubble to burst, you know what I mean? Like, it almost feels like the video game industry in like the 80s, where you worry that like, there could be a crash, and so you want to get your hands on all these dungeon crawlers and just put them in your basement and just hide them away for 10 years until you have time to actually play them, and then you'll have them instead of paying $3,000 for them on eBay, So I just keep gobbling them up. I'm show no signs of slowing down on that front. So doubt I will. And but it's a good problem to have, and I really do love these types of games. So very excited to see more on this, and as soon as I do, I will let you know. So that's all I had for today. Thanks everybody, and I will talk to you later.